Maxus is a company better known for its commercial vehicles. It produces a number of small and medium-sized commercial vans, including a lot of electric models, but it's venturing into the passenger market with this. It's called the Mifa 9 and it's going to come on sale in 2023. Comes in quite a luxurious spec, which we're about to test here. I'll give you a first look at what to expect. The Mifa 9 is quite an impressive looking thing. It has an awful lot of presence, measuring 5.2 meters in length. And around the front you have this fully illuminated light bar that goes all the way across and has the Maxus badge spelled out right across the front. There's a lot of chrome detail around the front here, along the bottom of the bumper, and there's some pretty sizable looking 19-inch wheels, aerodynamically optimized as well. That chrome also carries through from the leading edge of the bonnet all the way along and around the windows up into the roof and as far back as the tailgate. There's wraparound taillights as well, and again you've got Mifa 9 badging and Maxus spelt all the way across the rear. It is quite a big vehicle. It's probably going to be pitched mainly at the chauffeur driver market. There is absolutely some scope for higher end taxi use, not to mention commercial entities like hotels and businesses that might want to use something like this for shuttling people around. But there is also families that may want to have a vehicle like this rather than an electric car, or rather an electric SUV should I say. It has a 93 kilowatt hour battery, which is pretty big. Maxus says that will do 520 kilometers in a single charge. It uses around about 17.9 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. So it is claiming to be fairly economical, or it's fairly efficient in how it uses it, despite its size and fairly blocky design. Now, the engine is a 180 kilowatt motor. That's 245 horsepower in old money, and that also produces 350 newton meters of torque. There is a couple of different specifications available. I'm going to show you the interior now in a moment, and you can have it with obviously these luxurious business class seats, or you can have something a little bit more practical if you want to carry up to 9 people. Okay, so a quick tour of the inside of the Mifa 9. You have this 2-spoke steering wheel. It's a pretty good size, and you have touch controls here for setting your cruise control, distance for the adaptive cruise control, and then on this side all of your media controls, including a heated steering wheel. The instrument display is quite a simple setup really. You've got your speed at the center, shows you your range here. So at the moment it's nearly full. It's showing 305 kilometers of range, and just basic driving data is there in front of you. Then everything is controlled via this touch screen. So you have a home button here, you've got Apple CarPlay, various other smartphone mirroring. This doesn't have Android Auto. You've got your temperature controls here. Now with the temperature controls, you can control the front and the back. So when you go into that, you've got the front row and then the rear row as well, and you've also got an air purifying system here as well. So at the moment it's showing that there's a 96% left on the filter, 15% interior humidity, all that kind of stuff. So a lot about air quality, which is something that we see more typically in cars from China. Everything else is controlled in here. So literally, your front and rear sunroofs, tailgate, rear fog lights, all the controls and that you would sort of use are done by here, including electric handbrake, automatic handbrake release. There's also a 360 camera system. So you have all-round view, front and rear. There's a top-down view here. Also, when you activate the indicators, it automatically reverts to this 3D view. So that's with the left indicator on and then with the right indicator on. So it's a little bit similar to the Hyundai and Kia system that will show you automatically your blind spot when you put on the indicator. So that's quite good. There are some touch sensitive controls here for demisting your front and rear windows, climate temperature settings, and the home button are there. Then in this area, you've got USB sockets, USB-A sockets, storage. This is quite versatile, so you can adjust this depending on how you want it for cup holders and things like that. A little bit like how Tesla does it. This is a wireless charging pad here, 2 cup holders, and then there's also some additional storage in underneath. That's the key, in case you're wondering. That is what the key looks like. So you can actually open the front and rear doors and the tailgate as well. So that's what the key is like for the Maxus Mifa 9. The interior quality overall is actually quite good. I like that you've got quite a good split A-pillar here, so you do have pretty good visibility. There's also a reversing camera. It's a bit hard to see with the reflections here. I don't have a polarizer on this camera, but you can see that it has a rear view camera rather than a mirror. This is what it's like with the split sunroof. So you've got a front sunroof, and then there's also a rear sunroof as well. Blind there if you want to cover that over, and there's also a blind on the back. And overall the quality is quite nice. There's a little bit of piano black here, some metallic features, every bit as good, if I'm honest, as what you're going to get in a European car in terms of how the plastics and how the materials look and feel. So there's no issue there. We don't yet have pricing, but that's a quick look at the inside of the front of the Maxus Mifa 9. One of the big draws with the Mifa 9 is going to be the rear and how much space you have, in particular in this configuration with these large recliner business class seat style setup in the back. These are very, very comfortable, very generously sized. Obviously the bottom pops out, they can recline. There is a touch sensitive display here, so it's a little bit tricky to see in this harsh sunlight, but you can slide that, and then you've got various adjustment there, so you can adjust for recline, you can recline it back if you want. So there's a lot of different adjustability there as well. Really good visibility because you've got these huge side windows as well, and the big glass roof that I mentioned. Now the thing is, there is a third row, and there is quite a bit of room in there as well, so very generous amounts of rear leg room. It's a bench seat set up in the back, so you've got 3 seats in the back. The only thing is you will have a little bit limited headroom in the back because your headrest is right up against the back window. That does mean, I'll just close that, they are electrically operated doors. That does mean that when you have if you have all of the seats in use, you're not going to have much in the way of actual luggage space. So it's going to be a little bit of a trade-off in that respect. This is with the seats up all the way, and you have a very small amount of room there for a couple of small bags. That's all you're going to really get, but it's not too bad. It's very easy to drop these down, and they can just fold forward like so, and you then have this stepped platform. So there is still a bit of versatility there. Might just give you a little bit of a better view of what it's like from the rear seat. So there is some adjustment there as well, so if you do need to adjust the seat in front of you, it can be done. But quite a good view all in, pretty good amount of passenger space regardless of what seat you are in. Now we are a little bit limited today as to how much we can drive the Mifa 9, because this is an early model that we have over in Ireland and it's not yet road registered, so we're slightly limited to driving it just here off-road in Mondello Park, but it does give us a bit of a flavour for what to expect with it. The pickup, even though this is a big car, there is actually pretty reasonable power in it. Now granted, I don't have a full accompaniment of passengers, but it does get up to speed even in the normal mode. Now there is also a sport mode. If you do want to get around a little bit quicker, it'll serve up all that power a little bit more sharply, but generally speaking it's quite good. There's a little bit of regen there as well, so you do get close to the usual one pedal driving feel that so many of us want to have in an electric car. And fully charged, well, it's not fully charged, there's around about 80 plus, nearly 90% charge in the battery at the moment, and it's showing 302 kilometers. And in the bits that we've been driving around in this car, it does seem to be reasonably accurate. It's not going down particularly quickly. So hopefully that's an indication that this is the kind of car that can realistically in the real world give people 300 kilometers of range. For a lot of people, that is the figure in their head that they need to have in an electric vehicle. They want to have 300 kilometers of range, particularly if you are going to be on the motorway. Now, Maxus says that it will do just under 18 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers on the move. That's pretty good on a combined cycle. Again, it's largely going to depend on how you use this. If you are pounding up and down the motorways all the time, that figure is going to increase. The consumption figure is going to increase. But then again, if you are, say, a hotel in a city and you're just doing shorter, slower traffic journeys, that figure should come down a little bit more because you're using a lot more regeneration in the braking, and you're not using as much power or as at higher speeds. So there's certainly a lot of potential with this car. Quite the big factor is going to be obviously price, and we don't yet know how much this is going to cost. That's going to be a big factor. It's got a 93 kilowatt hour battery. That's a pretty big battery, and batteries are not the cheapest thing in the world. They are the most expensive component of any electric vehicle. That said, if Maxus wants to be competitive, they're really putting this up against the likes of the Mercedes EQV, and in Ireland that's a car that costs 100,000 euros, a lot of money, even for a business to consider doing. It's quite a chunk of change. If Maxus can get this at a much lower price, it's bound to win over a lot of new customers, particularly not only the families that need the extra space, but businesses, taxi drivers, chauffeur companies. Everybody in those sort of areas are looking to move to electric because that's where the market is going. They're keen to reduce their local vehicle emissions. This is the sort of car that could do it. Time will tell, but on the first impression, just our first hands-on experience of the Mifa 9, it's pretty good so far. Looking forward to spending a little bit more time with it. It'd be great to get it out on the roads to see exactly how it does stack up, particularly on say like an airport run, for example, with a few passengers and some luggage on board with a bit of extra weight. But we'll have to wait a little bit longer to do that. This is just a first look. But anyway, hopefully you might be interested in this. If you are, do let us know in the comments below. We'd love to know what you think about this car. Is Maxus a brand that you would actually consider going for now? Does the fact that it's a Chinese brand still give you a little bit of hesitation whether to commit to it or not? We'd love to know what you think in the comments below. And don't forget, you can find out much more about this car and all of its rivals on our website. It's CompleteCar.ie. You'll find it linked in the description below, and it's a great resource tool for researching your next car purchase.